What's up, guys? It has been 9 years since the last Mad Max movie, Mad Max Fury Road, which was really, really phenomenal. And now we have Furiosa. It's George Miller. What do you want? Let's go. Furiosa stars Anya-Taylor, Chris Hemsworth, and is directed by George Miller. What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new 2024 review. We're going to do the brand new Mad Max movie, Furiosa. From the trailer, immediately I knew I got to see that day freaking one. It's George Miller. George Miller, if you don't know, if you're not like a Mad Max aficionado, and I'm not, Road Warrior's like one of the greatest freaking movies ever made, okay? But I'm not the biggest fan of Beyond Thunderdome. I'm a casual fan of the first Mad Max. I mean, that one freaking scene where he makes the guy saw his own hand off, that's freaking legendary. But here comes freaking Mad Max Fury Road out of nowhere 9 years ago. And I mean, what? This was decades since Beyond Thunderdome. Man, I just remember when that movie came out, it really gave the movie industry the jolt that it needed in the action genre. And it was just a reminder that George Miller was back and stronger and better than ever. And dare I say, that might be the best Mad Max movie out of the whole bunch. You know, taking your nostalgia goggles out of the way. Yeah, Road Warrior, I love Road Warrior, but I gotta admit, I think Mad Max, if you want more of like an adrenaline junkie type movie that you could literally take the Junkie XL score to the gym with you and work out to, Fury Road all day, baby. It's just that good. And I'll tell you right now, this movie, it's really good, not as good as Fury Road. But I still think it's a great, worthy companion to Fury Road. It has all the great George Millerisms that you would want in a Mad Max movie. It feels very much like a continuation, even though it's a prequel of Fury Road. But this will be a spoiler-free review. I'm not going to drop any bombshells on you or anything. I'm just going to give you the broad strokes of what I like. There's a couple of things that I don't want to say didn't like, but just a few little annoyances about the movie. But they kind of fall in line with, if you're not a fan of what George Miller is all about in his movies, you might say the plot is thin. Fury Road, let's face it, that's one of the greatest freaking action movies of all time. The plot's thin. They're going to one location and then coming back, I think, and that's it. And this movie's no different. I think the big action set piece that stood out in my mind about this movie was the food transport. You know, they're transporting this food from A to B. The stunts in that scene are kind of jaw-dropping, very similar to the last movie. But let's back up and give you a plot synopsis. This is a Furiosa origin story. You get to see her entire life pretty much spread out throughout the entire movie. Aaliyah Brown plays the young version of Furiosa, and she takes up a good portion of this movie. I'd say maybe 30, maybe 45 minutes of this movie, maybe 30 minutes of this movie you're spending with the young Furiosa. Aaliyah Brown was fantastic as her, and she was in this year's Sting, which was a really fun movie. And I thought she looked familiar, and then I looked at IMDb, and sure enough, yeah, it's her. So, yeah, I think they picked a great young Furiosa. But when Anya-Taylor comes into the picture, man, she's got that it factor, you know? She has the striking eyes, right? When she's first introduced, all you see is just her eyes, and you are just like, awestruck. She just has a magnetic quality about her. And she doesn't say that much in this role. This is a very quiet, silent character. She only speaks when she needs to. She's more about evading capture. She has to go from one dangerous clan of people to another dangerous clan of people. This is one of those movies, I don't think there's any clear-cut good guy and bad guy outside of Furiosa. They're all freaking scumbags. You have Immortan Joe that was in Furiosa. He is a character in this movie, and he really wants Furiosa. And then you have Chris Hemsworth playing this very eccentric character, Dr. Dementis. I really have to give Chris Hemsworth mad credit for, no pun intended, mad, but I have to really give him credit for his portrayal of this character. You know, this was a character that he really had to step outside of his comfort zone and I think really prove his acting chops. And boy, does he. He definitely holds the screen. And Dementis is a really interesting character. I have to say that. I was a little worried, but Chris Hemsworth is one of those guys that he constantly proves me wrong. Just when I want to doubt him, he pulls out a performance that just kind of knocks my socks off. And that's the way he was in this. He's very eccentric. He's funny at times, but he's still very dangerous. You know, he fits the mold of a Mad Max villain character perfectly. Like, I could see him in like the first Mad Max and he would just fit right in. He's that type of character. And this movie is just full of eccentric, wild, fun characters throughout. As far as action, I think this has just as much action, if not more, than the previous movie. It's just full of great gearhead type action. You know, I'm talking about like the guys that are really into cars. I'm not really into cars that much, but I love the sound of a roaring engine with with great sound design on the big screen. I saw this in IMAX, and you can't help it. It's undeniable. And there's like one scene in this movie where, I mean, the engine seems like it's amplified, and I'm like, this will be the only time I will ever experience the earth-shattering sound of actually feeling like I'm inside a car engine. If I watch this at home, it's not going to be the same thing. You have to see this in IMAX. You probably already know that anyway. This is just that type of movie. But for 2.5 hours, I think it's paced really well, because that first half hour, you're getting to know Furiosa as a child. And then once she becomes an adult or a young adult, you're off and running throughout the rest of the movie. I have to mention this one character that so reminded me of Stacy Keach. Praetorian Jack, played by Tom Burke. And he has a hair lip in the movie. But I don't think the real actor has a hair lip, okay? But in the movie, he's got one that it goes like all the way up the side of his face, as you would expect a Mad Max character to have, you know? These are just war-torn characters. And he kind of just pops in the movie out of nowhere and establishes this bond with Furiosa and takes her under his wing. And this is where I do get a little bit into the cons, because I think they rushed this relationship between the two. And I feel like maybe there was a 3-hour version of this movie where they explored their relationship more, because they're thrust together really quick. And then you get this big action scene. And then the next thing you know, we're kind of forced into buying this undeniable chemistry that they're supposed to have. But I don't think the relationship earned its importance. And it is an important relationship, but I just don't think we were given enough time with them. And I think this movie, at 2.5 hours, they're trying to get from point A to point B, which is really what this movie is. But even in like the character beats, you know, and the relationships and all that stuff, I felt like some of that stuff was kind of rushed for action's sake. And don't get me wrong, the action is amazing. But I guess another con that I would give the movie, comparing this to previous Mad Max movies, even Fury Road, I felt like the practical took a back seat to a lot of CGI. I just felt like a lot of what I was watching was CGI. Sometimes it really stuck out like a sore thumb. Looking back at Fury Road, I'm shocked that they were able to pull off what they pulled off practically in that movie. And I'm sure they probably used a little bit of CGI, but if they did in that movie, in Fury Road, I sure didn't notice it as much. Whereas in this movie, it's definitely there. You're going to notice it. There's no denying. You're going to be like, yeah, that's definitely CGI. But overall, guys, definitely a low purchase worthy for Furiosa. I mean, if you're looking for just a fun, high-octane action movie with really great performances by Anya-Taylor and Chris Hemsworth, then definitely check this movie out. And when you do, let me know what you thought in the comments. Looking forward to hearing them. Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day. And on Fridays, Rudy Fever on Fridays. Follow me at Drumdums on my socials. Support me on Patreon. Become a channel member. Buy me a coffee. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. Drumdum out.